Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke, and you may recognize what's behind me if you do any traveling through the Midwest. It's certainly back in the days when I grew up in New York and I went to college initially at the University of Utah. So traveling through Chicago O'Hare Airport was an annual trek. Not, I think sometimes at Thanksgiving, certainly during the Christmas holidays, and it can be really crazy. So hopefully all of you will have some management of travel that goes well over the next month or so. Today's purpose is different. It's to connect up with opportunities around the world, and particularly people who might be able to help. Everybody here is a Global Chamber member. The purpose is to share, ideally, who you'd like to meet. What we do here at Global Chamber is we record that and compare it to what we already know about you, and then make some introductions for you. And then some of those may happen in the meeting today. Some of them may happen afterwards. However it happens, hopefully it allows you to connect up to help grow your business. If you, in the meantime, have any other needs or you think of anything along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. You'll also see a post that includes everybody here in the room. So if you fail to connect up with someone here, feel free to do that through that LinkedIn post or some other way. We always start when Bill Edwards is in the room with Bill, 50 years of trade experience. He's not only a international franchise expert, but he actually started in oil and gas. So he's got a very diverse international background. Can't find anybody with better international trade experience than Bill. He also, in addition to being part of Global Chamber, on our Global Chamber Los Angeles Advisory Board, he leads the Southern California District Export Council. Bill, thank you for joining today. Is there anyone you'd like to meet, and what would you like to share today?
Well, thanks for that intro. Actually, yesterday was my birthday. I was born on Thanksgiving Day about
Oh.
125 years ago. So I know I don't look a day over 80,
No,
but
you've worn it well.
thank you very much. Yes, despite working international, which is not good for your health in many cases. I've been shot at, I've been chased at, I've been thrown off boats, all kinds of things. But that was in the oil industry. Nothing since then. My goal, my business is and has been for a long time, expanding companies into countries that have the highest return on investment for their particular product or service, and that's things like developing a strategic plan. I've got two right now I'm working on that have been sort of international. They got into a few countries and then realized they had no plan. They were just reacting to external stimulus, and they realized that they were going to need to worry about that. I've helped restart some companies that had been international and stopped for 20 years and restarted. That's Denny's. We took on Denny's about 10 years ago and restarted them after 22 years of no international and put them into 18 new countries. Um, we also do analysis for private equity. I won't name the name, but a very large, medium range burger company a couple of years ago was being acquired by private equity, and they had some international private equity wanted us to evaluate what the potential was of those countries and their potential. And then last but certainly not least, and not my favorite thing, is fixing problems. About a year ago, we started working with a brand in California that had a licensee in Saudi Arabia that they never should have had. They never did due diligence. They never figured out whether they had enough money to develop beyond one unit. They didn't. They didn't learn that that company had been terminated by a very large F&B group for really good reason. So we went in and fixed that. I don't like doing that, but we do it. So any company that fits those requirements, I'm happy to help. Oh, one more thing. Been working with U.S. Commercial Service now since 1990. Have received twice U.S. Presidential Award for Export excellence, and I am also an unpaid pro bono advisor to the U.S. Trade Representative, who I just found out who the new one's going to be. We've suspended our meetings because the old one is on the way out and the new one's on the way in. So I have to figure out what the new one wants to do from trade agreements. So that's me.
Fantastic. What's your early take on that?
Tariffs.
Say that again.
Tariffs.
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 Got it.
Everybody's going to get an opportunity to have tariffs that they didn't know they were going to have. Yep.
Wow.
That's the operative word. Secretary of State, Secretary of Commerce, U.S. Trade Representative, National Security Advisor, Secretary of Treasury, all like tariffs.
Wow. Okay. So this doesn't look good, does it?
Well, we have to learn what it means, Doug. That's the key. We have to deal with what we have. We can't, personally, I can't determine what they're going to do, and neither can you. Probably nobody else on this call, but we need to find out what it means and then adapt our business focus based on that. That's what international business people do. I'm sure most people on this call will go like that. Yep. Be adaptive and be resilient, because we can't control it. We just need to figure out how to work with it and around it.
Flexible and resilient.
Yeah.
No choice if you want to be successful.
Doesn't matter what sector you're in or what you do. If it's international, flexible and resilient are the words in my experience.
Does anybody have any questions for Bill?
I'll jump in there, Doug, Mark Cohen. Yeah, no doubt about it, Bill. I agree with you 100%. We have to get people on the table and see what they all want and their needs are, and then hopefully we can come to terms, because that's what you do in international business. You have to have a discussion, you have to talk, we have to know how to communicate and what each party needs. The tariffs are a big thing, but they have always been there, and they're all in life negotiable. People like to throw tariffs out and big numbers out, and you get people to the table. And then if you get people to the table, then we might have a shot and a chance to get a solution. So that's what it's really all about. And I agree with Bill 100%. And it's not just because I agree with him. I think we've both been at the party there, and we had, our expertise and our own expertise and what we do. It's really the individuals who we're dealing with at the time. And then when you leave the meeting and you think you have a deal, and you might have a deal, that's when the marriage really starts, is really working together and how that relationship works. And that's what I'm really grateful for. Bill, happy birthday. You have something in common. My dad's birthday was the 25th. My brother's was the 27th of November. And we always talked about Thanksgiving. They're both not here, but we sat around the table last night with my kids and my grandkids, and that's what we talked about, what we were doing and what's meaning of Thanksgiving is for our family. So happy birthday, Bill.
Thanks. A little bit. I was born on Thanksgiving. 5 years later, my brother was born on Thanksgiving, and the joke in the family was always that my mother did not like to cook big meals.
Exactly right.
So she had babies on Thanksgiving. So anyway,
so my son is 39, and we sat at the table, and it's not about me and Bill right now. I just want to share with you. My son says, "Well, when did you celebrate their birthdays?" That's what it is, because it falls on a different date. And I said, You know what? It didn't matter what date it fell on. We always were around their birthdays, and that's when we celebrated their birthday. So, yeah, definitely.
Well,
Mark and I we share a lot of experience, but in different sectors. But it's all the same. It's all about relationships. It's all about being adaptive, being able to adapt, and being resilient. I think it matters who you're working for or what country. And so when big changes happen, like what's happening right now between the old and new administration, we know that we just have to figure out what that means for the people we work with.
Absolutely. Yep.
not rocket science.
And I think it opens up the door, as you point out, to be flexible and resilient and negotiate and mediate. It reminds me of a one time within kind of working on a global business, Taiwan prices for the DuPont company always were the lowest or one of the lowest in the world. And so somebody, my big boss told me we needed to raise price. And so I did. And, through a process, and about a month later, I got a big complaint from one of the biggest clients there who basically filed a $1 million complaint that our product had caused a quality problem. And he knew I was coming to Taiwan. So I did show up and we had a conversation, including a plant tour, and he showed me some things that were not clear that there was a quality complaint, but nonetheless, that's what his claim was for $1 million. And our for annually, it would be about $1 million price increase. So it kind of was somewhat coincidental. So he and I, along with 10 others, gathered at a fish market in Taichung, Taiwan, over lunch for several hours. And there were 2 whiskey bottles that were consumed during that conversation. And so at the end of it, we agreed that he would take the price increase, but it would be delayed for 6 months, and he would drop the complaint for quality, whether it was real or not. So I think, to me, that was a very painful lesson, because quite honestly, we drove from Taichung back to Taipei that day, and I don't remember any of it because I had drunk so much whiskey. But I felt like there was a success made, that at least we moved forward. So when you come into a negotiation in international business, you kind of don't know exactly what to expect, but you work through it, you be flexible and resilient, and hopefully ultimately come up with a solution that moves things forward. So probably all of you have had experiences like that, right? Bill, how many of those have you had?
Well, my thing is, doing a lot of business in China. And the one thing that I tell anybody that's doing business in China, if you're going to negotiate, never answer the question, when are you leaving? Because they'll be, I've actually had people in the car on the way to the airport in Beijing negotiating. Of course, with the Chinese, once the deal's signed, then they begin negotiating again. But don't tell the Chinese when your flight's leaving.
And be prepared with a lot of cognac and Mao Tai.
Exactly, right. Cognac is definitely the key.
Mao Tai is basically diesel. It's a little bit more refined than what you can get at the gas station.
Drinking games with Mao Tai brings back memories, painful memories. Thank you for sharing. Let's go to Dr. Pauline Crawford. Thank you, Dr. Pauline, for the women's group leadership that you did this week. I heard some really positive and great things, and I understand looks like we may be able to have you back for the December one as well. Who would you like to meet, and what else would you like to share today? Thank you for your leadership.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, actually. Yes. We did hear you. Oh, now we can't, though. Well, we can't hear you now. We did hear you when we saw your...
You have muted, Dr. Pauline.
Okay.
Muted.
I found it. Thank you, Doug. It's great to be here. I love listening to... can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay. I love what we're talking about, because it's all about relationships, and I'm all about how we have conversations of clarity and transparency across genders, across cultures, across international borders. So I'm looking to work with any of you here who are looking at difficult conversations and negotiating not the content, but the attitude and the behavior around the table. So I study leaders and their teams, and I create harmony. So my mission, my book, is The Power of Authentic Harmony, and it's about the principles of how we recognize the signs. So I love your story, Doug. the use of alcohol in there is obviously a good thing, but the words and deeds are really important. So I study different cultures, different companies. I'm British, I live in America, lived in Malaysia with ASEAN countries. So I really understand that we have to be very alert and watch for differences around the table. And often it's not about the content, it's about how we relate to each other. So that's a very important aspect. And in particular, I study how women and men are different. Hence, I really enjoyed running the women's leader group, Doug, and I'm very happy to do that again and build up the momentum. Because one of the things we recognized as a group of women is that we bring different attitudes and different perspectives to the table of business, international and trade business. I do a lot of work with Africa, and we know the cultures are very different there. So I'm looking to work alongside and mentor top leaders, really do face to how the conversation is working or not working. So I've been in this game for 30 years. I've been around longer than that, obviously. And I think my international experience has really helped to understand people. So they call me the ambassador of magical comments. Things where we don't leap at each other's throats. We actually can recognize differences around the table as being uniquely advantageous. And I'm fascinated to be here today and listen to all of you. I also do some work in education, really helping people the new generations are about. So if any people are working with emerging leaders, that's really a key one for me as well, Doug. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all. I say I'm based in Las Vegas and I'm on my telephone, so I don't know how to add in my details, but you can find me in the chamber, in the global chamber. Thank you.
Oh, what would be an example of a great connection for you?
It would be, for me, it would be a very innovative leader who's really looking to expand, possibly with a medium-sized company already, but they're looking to both excel in their own leadership style to increase the culture, to be a very positive, energetic culture, especially in today's world where everything is so fractious, because sometimes it's the simple things that make a lot of difference. And also where they're looking to really increase their younger emerging leaders in that organization, because there's the untapped talent. So leaders of medium-sized companies, and they can be international or local. That would be a good for me. And also I would like an introduction to Sir Richard Branson, because he's just set up his University of Dyslexia, but that's a sidebar. I haven't talked to you about that, Doug.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to
I think we have an opportunity to approach him. He's just opened the University of Dyslexia, and I'm dyslexic, and I work in a very similar way to him. And I believe in changing the way we educate and create awareness inside business, not in academia. Okay.
So, as say someone knows, the member of Global Chamber who gave us the connection to Richard Branson for someone else. Actually, we're in conversations with them right now about something else. So,
okay.
So it might be worth checking in to see whether that's something that they'd be open to make the connection. So, thank you for letting us know.
Well, that's right, because he literally just opened it like last couple of weeks ago and set up a center in London. So I think it would be a good time to bridge Global Chamber with him, including in terms of education of emerging leaders. That might be the pathway in there. Though we'll talk about it, Doug.
Okay, yeah. Let us know. Let both of us know, Cesar and I both, like what would the next step be? What would you want to do, and how would you help? And let's see what we can do. Then we can proceed. Thanks.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, and if you're, we are doing an event in Vegas at CES. It's on January 7th. And so if you're going to
Yes.
be there, I look forward to meeting you in person because I do
Oh,
expect to be there.
yeah, definitely. Erica already told me about that, so I've got it in my diary. So definitely we'll meet then.
Wonderful. Thank you. Speaking of people that might be at CES, I'm not sure, but certainly someone who's got some really interesting projects he's working on is Rob. Rob Arthur's out of Vancouver. Rob, you've always got something really going on that's fascinating. And my story earlier about whiskey, certainly one of your projects is whiskey too. So who would you like to meet and what else would you like to share?
Well, thank you, Doug. I did enjoy your whiskey story, and I love the story about the Baijiu and Motai because those are some fantastic and some nightmare memories that occurred. So I can relate to that. And Bill's story about being in the oil field industry. I spent 10 years in Fort McMurray, Alberta, as a labor coordinator or project manager, and I remember getting my van rocked and destroyed because we had a wildcat strike and everybody left and walked off the oil field site, and I was the only one left with a van on the site. And when I pulled out of that gate, my van was full of rocks because they thought I shouldn't be there. But anyway, great stories. But I never been shot at, so Bill upends me. Doug, yes, I'm still marketing 265,000 liters of 1-year-old Canadian whiskey and another 6 million behind it. So those are some projects I'm working on. But, ultimately, as we're talking about tariffs, of course, Canada and Mexico have been lumped into the 25% tariff right off the bat when the new administration comes in. So Canadians are in damage control here. You can imagine all the premiers on all the provinces are meeting, thinking about how they're going to mitigate this damage. So there's a big push right now. Internally, I think what that has done is made Canada look inward to some of its resources and some of its own power. So it's sort of done a bit of an opposite it did to when they did this to China a couple of years ago, made the Chinese look inward at their resources and what they're doing and building their own chips. I think the tariffs have made Canada look inward as well. And okay, we've got our big trading partners south of the border. What do we need to do? And what other partners should we be working with as well? Because we don't know when these tariffs will go back. And if it's a scare tactic, is 25% just an erroneous number that was thrown out and we'll settle at 10%? We don't know. I mean, there's no crystal ball. So that's been mostly my week right now, working with my clients that are afraid of fulfilling orders with Costco and Kroger's south of the border and other, thinking that how do we put up a game plan? So for guys like myself that are in international trade, it's a bit of a peanut scramble right now because we have no idea how to plan with budgets about the 25%. And, going forward, this is the price you've committed to Costco and Kroger's and all the other guys. Is that price out the window? And, when you put guarantees on this stuff, it's a bit tough to sell it at that guaranteed price. So anyway, one of the things I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for franchisees that need coaching. So I used to be a business coach to It's Only Lunch, a dating franchise out of the United States. I was a business coach for a lot of Domino's franchise, Blends Coffee. I'm going back into that arena a bit right now as some of the franchises here locally have said they've sold or they've got franchisees who are ex Fortune 500 employees, but they don't have the experience in being entrepreneurs, in running their own business. They're great executives, but they bought into a franchise because they've been maybe parceled off with a package of money and have bought a franchise into something, but just don't have the skill set to run that business. So I'm working with a few franchises here, but it's made me think that I need to go back into that franchise business. And maybe that's a model I should be hanging a hat on, is helping some of these franchisees and franchisors with some of these people that are buying franchise, because we've got a whole group of people buying franchise. And I think, Doug, you saw my post yesterday about, we've got such a focus on academics and not on entrepreneurship. So we need to turn that narrative around. So in particular, I guess what I'm looking for right now is franchisees that could potentially looking for a business coach that's experienced in working with franchisees, and a crystal ball for anybody that knows anything about where these tariffs are going to settle come the new year. And how do I tell my Canadian clients that are making guarantees and contracts with very, very large conglomerates? I mean, one of my clients I'm working with today is they're signing a very large contract with Starbucks for a functional food beverage. And I'm thinking, well, that's the price you're offering, but who knows what's going to happen in January. So anyway, that's it. There's no specific ask today because it's everything's sort of up in the air right now with these tariffs.
Doug,
Yes.
quick comment. Trump is a negotiator. So all the things he says is just the opening negotiation.
I agree,
And
Bill.
we'll see where things go. That's what
Yep.
he does for a living and has been doing it forever.
Yep.
So he throws things out and then kind of says, okay.
Yep.
So, and of course, that makes it very difficult to do business.
Correct.
If you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yep, certainly does.
He
Even
gets
if we
one-
settle, Bill, even if we end up settling back at 10%, that's 10% that the manufacturers never counted on.
It's not out of the question that it might end up being close to nothing.
That's
a
true,
big,
but that's
a big
good.
nothing burger, but you don't know. So that
Yep.
puts things, and it gets us talking about stuff too, which, it is what it is.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing, Rob. Let's continue to go around the room. And Connie Elschel is a new member of Global Chamber. She helps with marketing, particularly in the Middle East. Connie, thank you for joining today. Freedom
Freedom to create.
freedom to create. I was going to say freedom
Yeah.
to choose, but that sounds more like a political
Yeah,
quote.
that does actually.
Freedom to create. Thank you for creating.
Yes.
Who would you like to meet and how can we help?
To be honest, right now, I am trying to expand my business globally. I'm originally from the US, from the East Coast, Northern Virginia, but I've lived out in the Middle East since 2007. So I've been here a long time. And I've built a lot of strong connections in the Middle East, but I feel right now I want to expose my business and values around the world and learn about other cultures and work with markets such as the East and West, to experience graphic design at another level, because I've traveled a lot. I've looked at, every time I travel, I look at all the outdoor advertising, the billboards, and obviously if you go online, all the Google ads and anything visual is connected to that region of the world. So you can kind of see the different ways that people or professionals communicate their vision depending on where you are in the world. So I embrace the fact that I like challenges, and I feel I wouldn't say I've mastered the type of graphic design or brand communication I've done in the Middle East. I'm learning every single day, but I'm quite used to the way of life and used to the business ethics of the Middle East. So I just said, I think it's about time. My goal for 2025 is to really push the business and work around the world. I am pretty flexible in the sense because I don't have children. I am married, but I don't have any kids. So I can work literally day and night, and I don't mind doing that. I like the excitement. And I also kind of want to connect with the West a bit more again, because I've been away from home for a long time. And I kind of want to build that foundation back again, because my parents are back in the States, and it just will, bridge a gap where I can be home more often, perhaps, and, be able to work from virtually anywhere. And from my experience, I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of very high-end luxury and global brands from around the world, even though if they have headquarters based in the MENA region. I've worked with some quite prestigious brands. I've worked with a lot of startups as well, one-man bands, like entrepreneurs, especially since COVID, this is actually when I started my business, was in COVID, right when we were coming out of the whole lockdown, you could say, when things were starting to open up a bit. That's when I licensed Freedom to Create. So in 2021. And at that time, I met a lot of entrepreneurs as well. So I work small scale, large scale, very flexible, versatile in terms of who, I choose to work with my team. But at the same time, I feel like I always say this line: spread freedom's wings. This is what I'm trying to do, because Freedom to Create, the whole, let's say, ethos and like meaning behind my brand is the fact that creativity is limitless. It's a very subjective topic. So everybody sees art and creative beauty in their own eye and in their own aesthetic, pleasure. They don't, that makes our industry very challenging, to say the least. But at the same time, because it's so subjective, I believe that whoever is creating a masterpiece, whether it's by hand, like a clay pot, or you're drawing something with a pencil, or you're on your machine, like with a Wacom, you create it from within, and that's your freedom. You convey your message through what resonates from within yourself as a professional or as an artist. So me, I love design. Like, this is all I know. I'm a very passionate, let's say, artist, and I have traveled a lot around the world, embraced cultures, and just connect that with my professionalism every
Okay.
day. And I've been doing it my whole life. So I think
Okay.
I'm at this point now where I'm hoping that I can connect with anybody who's interested in bringing a brand to life or revamping their brand, refreshing it. Maybe they have a strategy already in place, but they want to kind of steer it in a different direction in terms of the visual communication, that is. So
Okay.
anyone who's looking for something artistic in terms of pushing their business visually, I am the person to go to, please.
Okay. I would say my recommendation going forward is just to always remember who is your best client. So you said a lot about anybody that does this or anybody, but for us,
Okay.
we need specifics, like which companies, what size, where are they located,
Okay.
where are they growing. So when you think about who your best client could be in 2025, what would they look like?
I would say in a industry's perspective, I don't have really specific names, to be honest, at the moment, but more tech companies and
Okay.
corporate, like financial firms. Because long story short, we want to pitch for a Swiss financial firm here in Dubai. In the summer, we did a pitch process. And I come as a professional, and my team, we have a lot of leisure brand experience. When I say leisure, like lifestyle, hospitality, luxury, etc. So I kind of want to push the envelope a bit and take a challenge. So I'm looking more for corporates, tech companies, IT companies. And when we won that pitch, that kind of, obviously from a human psychological standpoint, kind of elevated me a bit. And I said, you know what, if I can win a pitch against other companies as a business that falls in an industry that, we're kind of not very familiar with, why not, go to the next level? So yes, like industry-wise, corporate and tech. But unfortunately, at this moment in time, I don't really have any specific names, but probably multinational companies, to say the least.
No, you just giving us just tech, that is immeasurably helpful. So thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we
I
just need to
appreciate
know
that.
where to start, right? The concept of everybody, I can help everybody doesn't work. It's, here's who I help
Okay.
the best. And that's how we'll be able to grasp it. You
I see.
mentioned about tech. And so there's actually another new member in the room, and that's Sayali Mokate. She has a tech company. She's working at a tech company in Austin, Texas. So it may not be within your ideal client because of their geography. However, they are a tech company. And so, Sayali, are you available to talk a little bit about who you would like to meet and anything else you'd like to share?
Hi, Doug. Thank you. But if you give me 5 minutes, I'm middle of something.
Okay.
I can send you a chat message.
That sounds good. We'll catch you a little bit later. App Rely is the name of Sayali's company. Let's go to Tino Melita, who also was in a tech company. They do translation based in Argentina. He's in Montreal. Thank you, Tino, for the work that you do for so many companies to get them to communicate properly. Who would you like to meet, and how can we help?
Well, first of all, excuse me for my voice. It's getting cold up north here in Montreal. So hello from Montreal, Canada. What we specialize is mostly in life sciences, which includes pharma, which includes medical devices and clinical trials. So that's what our specialty is. But because of AI, we've had a new swift shift in our business. We're doing a lot more video, meaning voiceover, dubbing. So all the training videos, all the material, that's what we're specializing. So anything from English to Spanish, English to French, voiceover dubbing with the help of AI. Our engineers have came up with a great solution. So if your message has to be, transmitted to different languages, that's what we do. And not only for voiceover interpretation, we went to Barcelona last week. We had 10 interpreters in the booths doing different languages. So that's what we specialize. So if you have an event and you have multiple people, we have different languages. And I look forward to meeting you in person. I'm coming to CES in January, so I look forward to meeting you guys in person.
Fantastic. Actually, that will be great. If you could just make sure that we get you onto the list for the January 7th event. There's about 35 companies from South Korea that will be there that we're helping to promote and connect up. So there'll be 35 potential folks that are coming into North America that could use your services. So let's get you connected there. It's an organization. It's actually the city of Incheon and the Incheon Free Enterprise Zone, I think it is. And Dr. Yun, who's our executive director for South Korea, he's integrated into there. So he'll be there, and Mijong Hibbets will be there, and I'll be there, and Erica Herval, and sounds like Pauline will be. So we'll look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you very much for your time, and always great being here.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's continue to go. Mark, you mentioned a couple things earlier, but we didn't really kind of get to who you'd like to meet. Would you like to share, please? Mark Cohen, who's based in Scottsdale, Arizona, does some great impactful work in the nonprofit space, and in the business space. One of his many accomplishments has been penetration in business into China. So hence the conversation earlier about China, I'm sure hit home to some extent. Mark, who would you like to meet?
Thanks, Doug. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and blessed to be on the call here today. Yeah, like Doug said, I was blessed in the early 80s to sit down with the Chinese government and sell my business. I was in the apparel industry, one of the first ones as a pioneer to sell to mainland China my clothing business. That set the stage and the plate of what we do every single day with life and so forth. One of my projects is Project Max Club, which we channel and unifying the power of sports to combat racism, anti-Semitism, and intolerance, leveraging technology and influencing professional athletes. That's something that I'm very passionate about out of Israel. And I'm a strategic business advisor. I hone in on my expertise on complex culture and commerce resolution, where I ensure the client's investments, products, and services and licensing are protected and the financial transactions are seamless. So one of the things that opens up the door is my main mission in life is really to foster global humanity and unity using my platform to create and testing a positive change for the world. What does that look like? People say, what are you doing? What I do is like what Bill and I were talking about before, is we try to get people to the table, what their needs are, to build out a brand, to build out something that is needed and wanted. And what that looks like is if it's technology, if it's clothing, if it's shelter, if it's global change, we're all in these spaces because collectively we're all doing the same thing, is we're connecting and doing good. So now in my space and time is I evaluate what I want to be involved with every single day. Dr. Pauline, one of the things that you're doing with technology, with what you want to do with Richard Branson, I'm all over that. I have dyslexia. I'm already there with that. What to do is collectively, you got to bring people together with these ideas, because what happens is, even with Richard Branson or anybody or Dr. Severe when we talk about, the Thunderbird School of Education, or Doug is talking about the Global Chamber, how can we all collectively together bring a mission and a direction for good to the world, right? So, Richard Branson is waiting for us to come to him, right? We have to come to him because he is reaching us out and touching the people around us with that divine connection of energy and what we're doing. So like what Bill said, is Donald Trump is doing one thing. He talks every day, every hour to get our attention. And what we're doing is he wants everybody to get to the table. He wants to be that person. We cannot have him control our lives. We have to control our own lives, but we have to lean in on what Donald Trump is doing because God put him in that position for all of us. So let's not go against it. Let's all lean in and do good and find a solution how we can do good for the world with helping people. That's my main mission in life. So I'm open to speak to anybody that needs a high level and how we can do it on a high level to do good. We can make money. We can share the wealth together. And that's what I'm looking to do in the world today.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I think the new administration in the next 4 years are going to be a challenge for many of us. And I've already been able to remove a lot of that, almost all of that. And I think what you said is really important, that most of what's there is noise. You know, there's crime and there's grifting and there's just nonsense and insanity. And so how do you deal with that? And definitely let's all continue to talk about how best to deal with that going forward. But the way I've done it is cut it off. Basically found a way, just I don't watch the news anymore. I isolate. We don't talk and use that word, that 5-letter word inside our house anymore. It's just a lot of what's there is just for us to have him in our head. And I don't want him in my head. It's poisonous. It's toxic. And so as we move forward, I definitely love to learn from all of you. We have to do business. We have to do things that are going to be impacted by what that toxicity is creating. So we have to be engaged at some level. So I'd love to hear from Bill and from others, along the way about how you're handling that and segregating.
One thing I'd like to share though, Doug, and one little input that I think I could be helpful with everyone here. You have to remember, he spoke negative about all the people that are now coming together. Mark Zuckerberg went down to his place. He cut Twitter off, and now he's partnering with Elon Musk. So all these things that are happening, he wants our attention. If we let him in our head, he has us. We don't need him in our head. We just need to be aware of him. He is a brand master. He is the master of branding. He's the master of it. We just need to take a little dot of that, all of us, and utilize that in our own way alongside him. And I think that's my today approach, okay? It might change by 12 o'clock though, okay? Because of what goes on in the world today. But we just need to just focus in on that. And I think we might have something of value for everyone to take note on that. Every day is a new day.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Thank
you. I'd prefer not to think of him as a master of anything, but others. Pankaj, thank you for joining today. You fund some big projects. Who would you like to meet? How can we help?
Hey, Doug and everyone. So can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you so much and belated Thanksgiving. I am a cook guy. I cooked shrimp biryani yesterday. It was absolutely amazing. So one day I'll cook for Global Chamber member and physically when we'll be there. So we'll there next year probably. I'll cook. Cooking and gardening is my two things. And these all are, this is optional. So anyway, last week we joined SC24, high performance computing, where NVIDIA is the center positions and all the computing companies there. More than 100 trillion, everybody is there. We connected them, we work with them. And many companies looking for funding from Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, computing, as well as America, whole America and Canada. So we are working with them only for funding. So anybody looking for money, we can help, but no startup early stage, little bit of more, minimum 5 million or more if anybody is looking for money, my contact details is there. Yes, we are US and we are following underwriting guidelines. So you have to follow the, yes, Bill and everyone you are discussing who's all these points. It is really tough to working in the emerging market because they don't know about the US underwriting guidelines. Otherwise, someone will come to my home and talk to us for FBI, CIA, or anybody. We don't want to do that. Okay. So
Okay.
yes. So yes, anybody is looking for money, we can help. My contact details is
Sounds good. Thank you very
there.
much.
And thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, you were breaking up there a little bit. So thank you for sharing. Let's Dwight is in the call. Dwight Winkler is also in the financing area that you wouldn't find, and you can't find someone who's more expert at export and trade finance than Dwight Winkler. Dwight, who would you like to meet, and how can we help?
Well, thank you for that introduction, Doug. I really appreciate it. I guess let me start out in that this coming week, first week of December, I will be 10 years cancer free. And I guess that's why one of the projects I'm working on, which unfortunately none of my projects meet Pankaj's criteria, so but nevertheless, I am currently working on an equity requirement related to Indonesia to establish based on stem cell therapy and advanced cancer treatment clinic, also to address tuberculosis. So I'm looking for potential investors that might have an interest in that. It's not a startup. It's the business model is proven. The client operates elsewhere in the world and has been successful at it. So it's not a case of being a greenfield opportunity. We're just trying to transport the success they've had to the Indonesian market. So that's one area that I'm looking for to talk with parties that might be interested in that. In that conjunction, I'd like to, anyone has any connections that could introduce me to somebody at the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, I would be grateful for that. The other project that I have is it's US right now to take it from a beta position to a commercial viability. It's, I would call it power in the box. It's primarily for standby disaster relief electricity power, and then up to 250 kilowatts. It's a solar based platform in that, but it can carry and operate for at least 10 days without sun. So there is some longevity to it in terms of being able to operate. So I'm looking, that's more of a startup in this phase to take a product from a beta phase to a commercial viability, and that before it would even be eligible for export. But it does have application in places like certain parts of Asia, certainly, as well as Africa for sure, and that we just need to get there. So I've got two of those requirements that I'm looking at to talk with people that might have an interest in that. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Thank you, Dwight. Dwight's based out of Phoenix. He's lived in different parts of the world, including Nigeria and Kuwait and Indonesia. And he's on our Global Chamber Chicago Advisory Board and the finance series that we've done there. And I was talking to Kevin Brown of BMO Bank. We're going to do some more in 2025. So looking forward to having your assistance on that.
Well, as I said on our call, I will put together a what I could deliver as a program on credit analysis, using from my experience of having a few short months back conducted a course for the Kuwait Investment Authority for a couple of weeks in Kuwait, and that to some new inductees, so I can draw upon that experience to put together a program on credit analysis and dealing with the risks in dealing with that.
Thank you, Dwight. Let's go to Sayali Mokate. Is that how you pronounce your family name? Mokate? Oh, could you say that again? Oh, your volume is very low. Let's see. Why would that be? Could you try that again? Oh, you might need to pull off your headphones or your earphones because it's not working. It's very far away. Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I just
Yep.
disconnected it. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you. It's perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. How do you pronounce your family name?
So my full name is Saili. It is first name, and family name is Mokate.
Okay, so I was actually reasonably close. Great. You're a new member. You have IT services. AppRely is the name of the company. Who would you like to meet, and how can we help?
Sure. So at AppRely, we work as a tech partner to a lot of different businesses, small, mid-size, precisely, who would like to have a digital transformation, get help of technology and custom software solutions to enhance their business, raise scalability, reliability, and performance optimization of their software systems. That's where we work on. We also work with large enterprises wherein companies are needing specific expertise workforce on a project basis. We have actually a wide spectrum of services. We do have gold partnership with Monday.com, where we do a lot of project and time management automations, CRM and marketing solution automations. We also deploy other custom solutions in conjunction with the Monday.com solutions. We also worked on commodity trading and risk management with oil and gas companies, where the systems are very heavy and data flowing is very essential for different insights, reporting purposes, and also the risk management that these companies face, because their contracts are quite long term, and they do not find necessary data backing up to actually get an insights or forecasting how the decision should be driven. So we do work a lot on the commodity trading and risk management side as well. But as a kind of core services, we do help different industries to build their mobile and web applications. We look forward cloud, setting up cloud platforms, any maintenance related to that, third-party integrations. So pretty much the technical stuff that we do. And we do have different portfolios for different industries. For example, for fitness-related industry, we do have certain solutions developed which are really useful. For example, we worked with a football coach who wanted to actually automate all of his teaching classes, coaching, communicate with parents, keep a record of all his students, and just make sure that everything happens seamlessly. So that's where we gave him a good solution. We also work with companies who would like to have an e-commerce business, or if they have systems which are quite old and legacy, they would like to migrate from the old system to the new systems. We do data migrations and other configurations and custom implementation as well. We have worked with auto car insurance dealers, insurance companies separate, but auto car dealers, wherein we deployed our robotic process automation, and that actually reduced their order processing time from 20 to 30 minutes to just 3 minutes, because everything was automated. The new order comes in by email, is getting read by the bots. The information is fed into CRM automatically, and all the information that gets into CRM is further processed, and also the order processing, the acknowledgements went to the customers was specific to the dealer, different languages based on templates and everything. So it was drastically came down to, as I said, 2 to 3 minutes, and it just increased their sales 8 to 10 times, right? So we do help businesses to take help of technology and raise their business to new heights.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Put your information, please, in the chat area, and we look forward to learning more. Thank you for participating today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good information and some ideas. The Monday.com angle is really fascinating, and all the work that you've done there. So I think there's something there for us to help with. I'd like to, in closing, introduce Nima. out of Tanzania, and Cesar, and maybe the two of you could close the room here in the next few minutes. Nima, do you have anything to share? I know you just did an event that I had to miss, so I'm going to watch the recording. Is there anything that we can do to help in your efforts in Tanzania?
Yes, thank you very much, Doug. I'm from Tanzania and I'm the Executive Director for Global Chamber. I would like to welcome anyone who is looking into investing to fishing, deep sea fishing. There are opportunities around that area in Tanzania right now. And another thing is that we have started to prepare for Global Chamber 2025 next year in Tanzania. So we just wanted to inform everyone to just who is interested to be ready to come to Tanzania. I would love to host you all. Thank you.
Great. Cesar, let's make sure that Nima's connected to Maimun, because we were just talking about this. One of the biggest events we've ever done was about the seafood industry. There were like 200 people. It was crazy. It was wild. I never expected that. And they came out of our Bangladesh chapter. So thank you. Cesar, are there any final comments that you'd like to make? Are you there?
Hi, Doug, and hi, everyone. Thank you. As always, I've been taking notes. I haven't been as active doing like live introductions, but I will be making some next week. Next week is particularly busy. I received like 5 or 6 invites from GEM today, so I invite everyone to take a look at our calendar. Rob, you talk about franchises, and our member Tamer Flores will be sharing a revenue type of process he got for franchises. So I asked Jim to invite you to that one. And we also have a member in Europe that's going to be talking about how to work with the competition. So some interesting topics next week. So again, take a look. And if you have any questions or if you want to connect with anyone you saw here or in another event, just feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thanks, everyone.
This is our last event for November, so it will kick off a very busy month in December, including some in-person events here in Southern California and in Baltimore, Washington, and several other locations around the world. And then, of course, we've got our full spectrum of international. I just found out today that I will be interviewing Igor Novikov on December 19th. He has been an advisor to President Zelensky. He's right in the middle of everything related to Ukraine, both the defense of Ukraine and also the rebuilding, hopefully soon. And so that's December 19th. I encourage you to attend that. And because I think Igor is always an interesting interview, always some interesting things going on, and he'll have a very unique perspective, I'm sure, as he always does. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday.
Hey, Doug. Doug says we wanted to join. Says I need some information. I never.
You need information about
so
what?
Maybe we CES, CES, Las Vegas.
Oh, Consumer Electronics Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Consumer Electronics, the biggest one. I never joined. So maybe we are hang out there. So I need some information. I wanted to see we can join. I am joining all over the world. But
we'll get you information for sure.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Carry it through. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.